Hi, I'm Lex and welcome back to my channel. We're going to continue the fun of trying out all of these tomato varieties. 48 tomato varieties growing in my garden this year. Did a first video talking all about cherry tomatoes, 10 different kinds, and today I'm gonna go through the rest of the tomatoes that I have that are currently ripe. It's August 14th and I started all my tomatoes around March 20th of this year from seed, and I live in Ohio, zone 6A, and things are just starting to get ripened now, and I am waiting for the wave of tomatoes to be rolling through. So if you didn't check out the first video about cherry tomatoes, go back to that. I went through and explained why I'm doing this, why I'm growing 48 tomatoes, but as a quick recap, basically I did not like tomatoes as a child. I had a bad experience with it, and as I became older, I wanted to know all about tomatoes and what they tasted like. So in this video, we are going to be going through paste tomatoes, some slicer tomatoes, and I'm really excited to try these out and see what I think of them all. This is going to be like way too much I'm not eating an entire tomato because I will just get stuffed, which is a tomato variety, by the way, get stuffed, and I'm growing that, but it's not ready yet. I'll be cutting these open and then saving the rest of them, putting them in this plastic bag, and we'll be freezing because I like to make tomato sauce. Last year was the first year I canned tomatoes and learned how to make sauce, and it was really great. We had sauce till about January, so I also wanted to grow way more tomatoes this year so I can make more sauce and put that up. So I have been eating a lot of fresh tomatoes, but most of them are being reserved for canning and sauce making. So the first tomato I am very excited about is this massive guy. This is a Hungarian heart tomato, and it is huge. Meatier, there's less juice. This is the kind that you're wanting to use for your sauces because it takes less time to cook down the excess water. This is giant. When these started to grow on the plant, I couldn't believe how big they were, and I've been watching and watching and watching and waiting for them to ripen. And this ripened this week. I picked it. I've been taking pictures of it like crazy because I just can't get over how big it is. It is 1 pound and 4 ounces. And so without further ado, this beautiful tomato that I have been showing off to all of my family is now going to be cut, and we're going to try it. And there is some soft spots on this already because it's been a couple days since it came out of the garden. So I'm coring out the top because, like I said, I'm going to save most of this for sauce. This thing is super meaty. Time to try it. It kind of reminds me of a cantaloupe. I was thinking watermelon at first, but as I kept trying it, the taste reminds me kind of like of a cantaloupe. It's very interesting, which is very good. It still reminds me of a melon, but also a tomato, like a melon-tomato cross. And this thing is so big, so meaty. There's not a lot of juice in here. Like, I just imagine this is gonna be an awesome, awesome tomato for making sauce with. What if I just eat it like an apple? I don't eat tomatoes like that normally. But this is something. I give this a thumbs up. I'm happy with it. This giant beast tomato. I think it's going to do the job of what I want it for. I don't think I would use this on a sandwich. I think it'll be really nice for making sauce. The Hungarian heart, good choice. They're huge. I've got other fruits growing on the plant that are just as big, maybe a little bit smaller. This was actually the biggest, but they are big. This variety is known to have fruits upwards of 1 pound. This is a good option. Next on our tomato adventure is the Jersey Devil. These are really fun. These are another paste-like tomato. They've got little horns. It's really interesting because these look like peppers. If you just took a quick glance at it, you probably think it's a pepper, but these are tomatoes, so they're very fun. I actually grew these in my garden last year, and they didn't do so great, but I also started them late. So these got started early with the rest, and I am really excited how they're turning out. They look great. Got little horns. This one definitely packs more of a flavorful punch than the Hungarian heart. Probably because it's smaller. It was very good. It definitely has that tomato sauce taste. Like, I feel like I should be eating spaghetti with this right now. Very nice taste tomato, really nice rich flavor, and not super juicy either, which is great for sauces. Jersey Devil is another win in the tomato book for me. Definitely will be growing these every year. I only gave them a second shot this year because I knew that since I started them late last year, they were pretty small and they didn't give me a lot of fruit. So I was gonna try again, make sure, and I'm really glad I did because I definitely want to grow these again. Very happy. And the plant is loaded with way more. And I grew these from seeds that I had saved from last year. So I also wonder if in doing so it helped my plant become more accustomed to my zone growing conditions in my garden. So very happy with these. These are Stripedromas. Aren't they so cool? Look at the variegation on them. When they're ripe like this, they're that dark red with the yellow-orange streaks going through. But when they are ripening, the streaks are actually green. Now initially, I didn't think these were gonna be great. The first fruits that I harvested were really small in size, but these ones that just got ripe, much larger. So I'm a little bit happier to see that they're bigger. Stripedroma, again, is another paste variety. This is a much brighter flavor of tomato compared to the Jersey Devil, which was like that really deep, rich, saucy taste. This has that, but it's brighter, it's lighter, more fruity. Now this one does seem to have a lot more juice than the first two that we've talked about, but overall I'm still pretty happy with it. I'll be interested to see how it does when it's cooked down for sauce, but it's good, it's sweeter. So if you want a sweeter paste tomato, this would be a good option. All right, I'm gonna change it up and do a different kind. This is a Tomatillo, specifically a yellow Tomatillo. They'll actually get a little bit more yellow than this. They fell off the vine, so I just went ahead and took them. These are, I guess you would call it like a Mexican tomato. And technically, I guess Tomatillos are a berry. They're not even actually a real tomato, but I mean, I use them for fresh eating and making salsa. The one thing that's interesting that people might not realize if you've never had one is Tomatillos are like crunchy. They're not a soft, squishy fruit like a tomato is. They're actually really crunchy. And these yellow Tomatillos are pretty sweet. If you ever had a ground cherry, I would say it's kind of similar. I mean, it grows in the husk. It's sweet, it's crunchy. It's kind of like eating an apple. These are really nice to cut, and put on fresh salads. If you don't like tomatoes, you might actually like these because they don't taste like a tomato at all. Like I said, it's very crunchy, very sweet, kind of like an apple. Here we have a Japanese ox heart tomato. So this is kind of like the Hungarian heart in that it is a heart shaped. This fruit is weighing in at 8 ounces. It's got some very interesting cracking that happened up on the top. Probably because we've had some really interesting weather patterns this year, from cooler days to really hot days to 2 weeks of rain and then repeat. I'm gonna cut off all of that on the top. We don't need all that. Here we go. I feel like this is a really nice option for fresh eating. I mean, there is quite a bit of gel in this tomato. So this I think would be better as a fresh eating tomato. You can still make sauce with it, but this would be good as just a nice slicing tomato. We'll do another paste. This one is called Fab Plum. So it looks pretty normal. Again, it's got some splitting on it. This one is 5 ounces. Doesn't have too much juice in there. Looks pretty good. Cut open. Nice for tomato making. Woo, that's actually much sweeter than I thought it would be. The name of it's called Fab Plum. I can see why. It's got a consistency like a plum. It kind of tastes like a plum. It's still like a tomato, but like a mix of a tomato and plum. And there is quite a bit of juice in it as I'm eating it. This is good. This is surprisingly good. Different than the other paste. Good one. Here we have San Marzano Lungo. So I've seen some popularity with these San Marzano tomatoes in favor of these over Romas when it comes to making sauce. So this is 1.9 and this is 2.2 ounces. So we'll just say they're about 2 ounces. and most of the fruits are similar in size, so they're on the smaller side compared to some of the other ones that we've talked about, but let's check them for flavor. So already cutting this open, it is super meaty. There is like no juice to be seen in this. I don't know, it's kind of bland. There's not a whole lot happening with this tomato. If you want a plain tomato, this is a plain tomato. I'm not getting much inspiration to describe this. It's just very plain. It's very meaty. No juice, but it's just very plain. Kind of disappointed about that. But for sauce making, I mean, you put a lot of flavoring and basil and garlic and stuff in sauce, so that'll take on a lot of flavor. Maybe if it's cooked down, it'll be more rich, but I'm just not inspired by this. Core an X on the bottom of your tomatoes when you're freezing them, and you can peel the skin right off. Little tip. This is an Amish paste. I've heard really great things about the Amish paste being great for sauce. This is 8.2 ounces, so it is on the larger side, bigger than those San Marzanos. Again, it's got some of the splitting that happened this year, but I think that's just the growing season, not indicative of the plant itself. So not a whole lot of juice in here. Very meaty. I can see why they say this is good for sauce. All right. This is fruity. This is much sweeter. This has a lot of flavor compared to that San Marzano that had none. It is very fruity, very sweet, really nice texture. It's not overly juicy, but it's not dry. It's a nice tasting tomato. I think this would also be another good paste tomato that would be nice for fresh eating as well. All right, the Amish paste is a good one in my book. Good job. Oh, they're never ending. This is a purple Russian, so this is a big one. This one comes in at 10.8 ounces. More splitting on this one, which is, again, seems to be a common theme with a lot of my tomatoes just because of the inconsistent weather. But when these are ripe, they are a dark purpley red color, like a wine color. And then there's some green blushing on the top, but that's okay. This is ripe. This is ready to be cut into. The inside is interesting. It's not super red. Pinks and greens. And the taste test. This is another bland one. It's juicy, but there's just not a lot to it. I'm a little disappointed with this one. It's really big. Probably just another good paste for sauce, and you're gonna add your flavors to it. But from a fresh eating, I'm not impressed. Next up is the orange Icicle. This is a paste variety tomato, but it is an orange paste, so that's different, pretty cool. You can see the top still has some green on it, but this is ready and ripe. Cut into the bottom here. Nice coloring. I would say this is has a bright flavor. It's mild, not overly sweet, or the orange color, it reminds me of peppers, like a orange bell pepper, but the taste also kind of reminds me in the same way. It's not crisp like a pepper, but it's just that kind of fruity, bright taste to it. I actually like this a lot. All right, that was a lot of paste tomatoes, kind of pasted out. So now that I've gone through all those, I have my big bag of tomatoes here that's gonna go in my freezer and will eventually be sauce. So thank you, tomatoes, for your assistance. Man, after eating all those tomatoes, I'm full. Ruined my dinner for tonight by taste testing all of these tomatoes, but I hope that you were able to get some insight on how some of these things taste. With so many different tomato varieties out there, I know the hesitation to grow something in your garden if you have limited space and not like how it tastes. So if I have given you any insight in that, I hope it's helpful to you. So thanks for checking out this video. If you tried any of these varieties and you like them or you hate them, I would be interested in knowing what you think of them, and just to get more insight and feedback for everyone here that's watching. I have a lot more tomatoes left out in the garden that are not ripe yet, so there will be more tomato taste testing videos coming soon. So make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can get notifications for the new videos once they're posted. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please do something you love, make yourself happy, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!